Hey, what do you say to everybody? Gio Seti back at you today. Let's look at the calendar. Today is October 20th. We're 11 days away from the Breeders' Cup, the 2025 Breeders' Cup. I do hope everybody's doing well and that anticipation is building within your inners, okay? I wanted to talk about two things today. And many of you could be well informed on these topics, and perhaps some of you are not at all. All right, let's talk about ADWs, or advanced deposit wagering, which I feel everybody watching this show has some level or not. Let's talk about that first, and then we're going to get into the syndications, what we all don't like, the CAWs, computerized assisting wagering, which in a lot of ways, especially during the course of 24 and 25, in a lot of arenas, at a lot of tracks, it's gotten sort of out of control. But anyway, let's talk about old school versus today. Now, if you go back as long as I do, of course, back in the day, let's call it the 80s and 90s, you had to go to the racetrack to bet on horses. Yes, you had off-track betting, which all those in the New York area basically shut down and closed because of the emergence of everything that's online and ADWs. Simulcasting centers are in a lot of ways facilities where everybody comes together, and it's a platform for you to wager as well. So the ADWs, I'm sure each and every one of you viewing probably are signed on to one where you fund your account and then you make bets accordingly, generally throughout the nation, whatever tracks are available on that given betting day. Here in New Jersey, we're restricted. We have no choice but to use New Jersey Bets, which is affiliated with TVG, now owned by FanDuel. So we're locked in a corner. We're not eligible to use others like Twin Spires, Naira, which is part of Caesars, AmWager is another ADW, ExpressBet, and so on. So you have an ADW, which you fund, and you make bets. And you make bets either on your computer or your mobile device, or you physically go to the racetrack. Instead of betting at the window at the racetrack, you bet on your phone. But the old school way, of course, is going to a live teller at the track, getting to the window, and putting the cash up, no cards, and making a bet, and then getting a bearer instrument ticket in return. Now, being old school, when I go to the track, I still like to do that. I don't go to the track and use my mobile device to make my bets unless I ran out of capital instead of hitting the cash machine and I had money in my advanced deposit wagering account, then I would make a bet that way. So talking about where you bet and how you bet is important when we get into the next topic, which is basically affecting everybody and mostly negatively affecting everybody. And that's the CAWs, computerized assisting wagering. Now, these are not individuals. I don't believe they're individuals. It could be a few people that form a CAW, but for the most part, these are, highly sophisticated syndications. These syndicates, they have control over, specific data and the algorithms that are associated with wagering at many, if not all, of the major tracks around the country. So where it affects us, leading to this Breeders' Cup, and there's a lot of buzz in chat rooms and and on Twitter, now called X, of course, about the CAWs and how we, the bettors, or bettors slash handicappers, are affected by this. Well, it all comes down to one thing, and it's the root of all evil. You know what that is? It's money. Okay? So what's happening now, racetracks and their higher tier, magistrates, if you will, they're thinking about handle. They're thinking about the amount of money that comes into their particular track for their meet. What's the bottom line? So these CAWs, and like I said, these are probably very large syndicated groups. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how many people are involved, but they're smart with data, they're smart with algorithms, they're smart with penetrating the pari-mutuel wagering market. Remember, pari-mutuel wagering back in the day, and it's still defined the same way, is it you, I, and thousands of other bettors who are handicapping or just choosing colors and numbers if that's what they're inclined to do. That's the way they bet horses. But it's a pool where we're betting against each other, and it's a beautiful thing. I like that. And what's happening is you get the takeout from the track. So they're putting together the platform, and we have to deal with takeout. So all of our collective monies wagering on a particular race, or races plural, what's happening is it's going into the pool. Then you have the takeout, which is an entitlement because that's how business runs. All right? That's their juice. That's their takeout. And I think it's important that you know what the takeout is for win, place, and show. Exactas, triples, superfectas, daily doubles, pick threes, pick fours, pick fives, pick sixes. Know your takeout. So at least you know, in terms of your game planning, what the takeout is. Now, takeout is one thing, and the presence of CAWs is an entirely different element. These days, these organizations, these computer-assisted wagering platforms, they're penetrating the pari-mutuel pools, getting rebates because of the high volume, significant millions of dollars being poured into, and unfortunately it's happening at some of the biggest platforms like the Saratoga meet or Keeneland right now going on in Keeneland. And none of us players, none of us bettors, none of us handicappers like it or embrace it or appreciate it, because what's happening is you're betting a horse a minute to post and he's 7-1. So now you're starting to calculate and envision what your exacta payout's going to be, what your win payout's going to be, and so on. But what's happening is they get to the gate, it's now 6 or 5-1. They figure, okay, back in the day, that's late action, late money, normal late money. But with these algorithms and the computer-assisted wagering, the high volume, high octane speed within the last 30 to 60 seconds is dropping that 7-1 all the way down to 5-2. So now, for different reasons, which I won't get into right now, remember, a collection of data, handicapping schemes, and who knows what more, because when there's money, there's mischief. What's happening is it's manipulating the prices for our win price and exactas mostly. All right? So it's something we have to deal with. Now, for the Breeders' Cup, unfortunately, for what I'm hearing, I don't know if it's subject to change, but Del Mar is not going to put a cutoff at 2 minutes prior to post. So it could be more of a fair playing field. But as a handicapper and as a player, if the CAWs are still going to be involved, because again, all that money, it's like they're thinking about their bottom line. So you as a player, you have to factor that into the makeup or your game planning on how you're going to bet. Some things are way beyond our control. Okay? I'm going to do another show on specific ticket structure and wagering capacities to approach a big day like Future Stars Friday, Juvenile Friday, or Championship Saturday in the Breeders' Cup. But this is a fascinating topic because this extends throughout the year, not just the Breeders' Cup. How do you approach a full card? Do you bet only on stakes races, or do you engage in maiden claimers, maiden special weight, low price claiming races, optional claimers, allowance races, non-graded stakes races? Do you go to the track and say, I'm out for the day at the track, I'm playing every race? And there's nothing wrong with that. I myself like to do that. Remember, what do I always say? If I do my work and I handicap a race and I come to a conclusion of how I feel that race is going to unfold and ultimately decide. Now, sure, there are significant contributing factors to factor in, and you got to get lucky. But I put myself in a position and my followers in a position to be more successful at the window. I'm confident about saying that because, I have the experience and I have the work ethic and I know my process and my, everything that I unturn throughout my handicapping process. But with that said, you have to be decisive on how you're going to approach this game. Now, sure, for the most part, we all want to be very engaged on the heightened level of the championship seasons. The Breeders' Cup, Friday and Saturday, Kentucky Derby, Preakness, Belmont Stakes, the Triple Crown, all the other huge significant cards in the spring leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Then you have the, big events during the summer or in the winter, like at Gulfstream, which I don't play. But, I play Gulfstream one day a year now. One day a year, because I just don't trust the operation. And that's on Pegasus Day, because you usually get 7 to 10 stakes races, and there's a lot more people watching. And I like to get involved because it's, in January, the NFL playoffs, and it's the big card in January, which is usually a slow month in the sport. But more on CAWs. Listen, there's pros and cons, no doubt. What are the cons? We, the bettors, get an unfair advantage because those highly sophisticated syndicates, the algorithms drive activity, and they put in millions of dollars. It affects the tote board. It affects the pari-mutuel aspects of the game. We just have to deal with it. Now, if they eliminate that or cut it off at the 5-minute mark, the handle's not going to be as significant. So there's a lot of manipulation here. Again, the root of all evil, money. Racetracks are saying, you know what? Wow, look at the money that they're pouring into our operation. They offer rebates. They offer opportunities. Thank you. And that's why they let them go through the process. But in the same time, there's a lot of old school players, horse players, gamblers that are saying, I had enough of this. I got to deal with takeout. I got to deal with CAWs. You know what? Maybe I'll be involved on the biggest days of the year, but you know what? I can't do this anymore. So the con is it's a distraction to the Sport of Kings purists. And when you've been around as long as I have, you've seen it all. But you still love the game. So I think for the love of the sport, ultimately things are going to change. They're going to have to. But again, we're fighting the almighty dollar. Let me know what you think. Stay tuned on this channel for more Breeders' Cup coverage. And if you're not part of my distribution list and you want to focus to the finish, send me an email, focustotofinish@gmail.com. We'll talk. I'll talk to you about things going forward. Yes, I do provide handicapping opportunities using and leveraging my 45 plus years in the business. But there's a lot of things I like sharing. I always believe, hey, we win we win together. And there's nothing better than that. All right? So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you like this show, hit the like button. Send me a comment. Maybe we'll have some one-on-one conversations. You guys have a great day. We're 11 days away from the Breeders' Cup. God bless you. God bless your families. And remember, focus to the finish.